Are you wondering if Wonder Man is another wonderful addition to the wonders that is the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Wonder no more? The Fletcher Review is here. My name is Fletcher, and welcome to another episode of Fletcher Reviews. Today I'm going to be diving into a full TV series review, so I won't be doing an episode by episode breakdown. I'm going to be doing an overall overview of the entire story, all its characters, and the impact it actually has on the Marvel Universe itself. Wonder Man follows the character of Simon Williams, portrayed by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and his counterpart Ben Kingsley, who is bringing back probably one of my favorite characters from the Marvel series, Trevor Slattery. When it comes to me approaching the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I like to preface that I'm a fan of the Cinematic Universe and that I did not grow up with the comic books themselves, and I draw a lot of references after I've actually seen the movies. I actually like to go and watch the stories that are portrayed in the Cinematic Universe and then learn more about it through online media, talking with other people that are passionate about this, and other forms of interaction. That being said, the background of Wonder Man was a character that was introduced in 1964, I believe. He was actually introduced as a villain who fought the Avengers. For people such as myself who didn't know who Wonder Man was, this is a great entry point into the actual cinematic universe introduction of the character, because we get to actually see where he is at as a person and how he fits into the universe itself. So me personally, what I look for when I look for shows that introduce these characters is how well does this character stand on its own? Can this character survive in a universe that's not Marvel themselves? Are they introduced well? Are they given depth? Are they given goals? Are they given complexities that they have to overcome? What is it that makes them likable, dislikable, and what makes them tick? What makes this character driven to the next point in the story? So how this series starts is that Simon is introduced as someone that's trying to find his place. Someone that's sure of himself to an extent, but also so hypercritical of himself, and someone that kind of gets in his own way more than not. Someone that has to overcome the complexities of just being able to let go, process, just be in the moment himself. And it kind of sets the tone of who he is as a person and where he is right now. What really resonated with myself was that this is based in Hollywood itself. So Simon Williams is an aspiring actor, and you actually get to see the behind the scenes of the shows themselves that he's starring in. And it's obviously played up a little bit, so this isn't exactly how it's going to be behind the scenes. I've never been behind the scenes of a Hollywood blockbuster or even just a show for that matter, but it is so interesting to see how they're going to portray Hollywood, how they're going to ground it in the Marvel universe, and how they're going to get Simon Williams to approach and interact with this world as he unfolds over the episodes. So alongside this main character, central focus, that is Simon Williams, we have a counterpart that's going to be returning to his role that was introduced back in Iron Man 3, which is Trevor Slattery. He is played by Ben Kingsley. Personally, one of my favorite Marvel characters that they've done. A lot of people didn't quite understand him as a character when he was introduced as the Mandarin back in Iron Man 3, even though there was a little bit of rug pull. And myself, when I first watched Iron Man 3, I didn't quite understand it, but I've come back to appreciate the genius of his character, especially when he then returned in Shang-Chi as well. And personally, I think the pairing of these two characters is something that shouldn't work on paper, but on screen mesh so wonderfully. For a character like Trevor Slattery, who could have very well been a 10-minute one-hit wonder in Iron Man 3 as a bit of a rug pull, he's managed to weave himself back into the actual universe in a meaningful manner, and his presence on screen is immediately recognizable. Every single scene that he's in there, and the fact that you've had someone that is as mysterious as Simon Williams to be the counterpart to this person that you quite literally don't know what he's going to do next. It's just such a clever narrative and clever way to bounce off each other, because one character is so unpredictable in terms of what he's actually going to do next to get by. He's a entrepreneur in so many assets of his life, and then you've got Simon Williams, who is trying to portray someone that is put together and can run with the big ones and wants to get all of his ideas out into the world. I love the moral dilemmas that have been portrayed in the show, because realistically it's one of those shows where it's a simple story, but it is told so authentically and so well that you are quite truly invested in what the character's going to do. It is a show that evolves episode by episode, and the characters, as they go through them, you can genuinely see growth per episode. It's not a situation of they're kind of the same thing every single episode, and then at the very end they have there's one speech where you look back and everything's different. Like every single episode, you can take something from there and say that is going to interact with this in this manner, or that is going to influence the next arc in that manner. And you already have to wait one episode to get there. When it comes to world building, a TV show is the right place to do it. You're going to have much more of a canvas to work with. Over 8 episodes that this show is, and there is quite literally an episode that to me is one of the standouts of the show, and it could completely be classified as 100% filler. And I loved every single bit of it. I loved the narrative that they had with this one, because it actually revealed something that was in the first few episodes about why everyone is acting the certain way, and why Simon Williams' life is such a secret, why he has such trouble trying to get through his life and try to hide who he really is, while also trying to show who he really wants to be. Even within the filler episode, you come to love some of the characters that they just introduced. You go through an entire arc, start to finish. It is basically a mini movie, and honestly, it was so necessary at the end of it. When you really get to the end of the series and you go back and look at something like that, and you feel like that completed the story that was told. It was such a clever place to put it in the storytelling as well, about how you're experiencing what Simon Williams is going through and what Trevor Slattery has gone through, and then to throw that little nugget in there, and then you jump back into the show itself, and then you get to the end of it and you go back and reflect on the entire story that was told start to finish, and it changes your narrative just from being a pure filler episode to something that flowed so well between the two timelines. And I genuinely think that was one of the most clever episodes that I've seen in a Marvel TV series. It's really interesting to see the comparison between both of the main characters and how they deal with adversity and how they deal with hiding something inside them, because both of them have something to hide. Both of them have complexities about their hidden identity that you can see manifest through the show, making it more difficult to perform in how they want to do. We have Simon Williams, who's trying to audition for the character of Wonder Man himself within the show, and his secret that he's trying to hold is actually throwing him off. It is sending him in different directions, and that direction that has been sent drags Trevor Slattery into the fold in so many different ways, and then it gives Trevor Slattery's secret more gravity, and it gives it more complexity in terms of, how do I feel about this? How do I feel like he's going to get out of this? How do I feel like this is actually impacting his chain of thoughts? How do I feel like it's impacting his emotional status? And watching Simon go through many different aspects of his life, from a child to being portrayed by his friends and family when they speak to Trevor Slattery, when Trevor Slattery's trying to piece together things, and it's a little puzzle yourself to try and piece together as you go. And I really enjoy that. I like that they didn't give you everything up front. I like that there was a reason to come back each episode. I like that there was a reason for you to be rooting for Simon Williams at one stage and rooting for Trevor Slattery in another, and then wondering what this consequence of this action is going to cause to this character compared to that character. Simon Williams remains the main star of the show. He is the center of the show, the center of this little mini universe ecosystem. And the fact that Trevor Slattery is able to elevate that is so clever, because it's not just the actor in real life elevating this actor either. It is quite literally their character in the show elevating this character, and this character pulling forth this one. I can't sit here and say that overall that everything that happened in this show has dramatically changed the Marvel universe. But what I can say is that Marvel needs to do more of these shows. Marvel actually has the capacity to tell these complex and well-written and well-versed stories that don't have to lead to something else. There is a possibility that they could take this character and run with more. And there's also something that I think is really clever in this, that is sometimes an unpopular opinion. I feel that they could genuinely leave this story as is. At the end of the last episode, I feel like if I don't see them again, and then I just construct what happens from that on, like from that point onwards in my head, I would be happy. I would genuinely be happy with something of that caliber. This is the Marvel Universe. Characters turn up in the most random places. Case in point, Trevor Slattery turning up into this show as a full-fledged, deep, complex character that spans over 8 episodes. Nobody would have thought that he would have turned up in this capacity, so we don't know where Simon Williams is going to turn up either. So the fun conversation that I like to have when it comes to video games or movies or books is, who is this story for? And honestly, I feel like this is a great gateway for someone that's not invested in the Marvel Universe to see what the Marvel Universe is capable of, because a lot of times movies, shows, they get written off simply because it's a superhero show. It's a superhero movie. There's only so much depth and complexity that could be had in these stories. And this is a great one to show that the Marvel Cinematic Universe does have a lot of love to give. It does have a lot of moral ambiguity left in it, that they can make a story where people care about this character that may not have the right intentions, but could potentially lead to somewhere with a good outcome. It's a great addition to someone that has read all the comic books, that enjoys the superhero aspect, because it's fun to see the references that it has with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It's fun to see how they portray the effects of a superhero world on the industry that is Hollywood, on how the world would run as a normal entity in itself, to be able to see the impact that both of these characters have in both of their own lights and both of their own issues that they're bringing to the table. It's great. It's genuinely great. It has encapsulated a Marvel formula, expanded on, and brought in the wonderful storytelling that you would expect from a show that is not related to Marvel. I do think that it does face an issue that I do see, where some people want to go and watch a show that is all explosions, gunfights, action, superhero powers everywhere, over the top nature. And this dips its toe into that in certain aspects. It has really great representation of superpowers as a whole, and the way that it impacts the world, I feel, is an important message to convey. It's something that is relatable, it's grounding. It makes the world believable. It makes me feel like I would react the same way if I was in that universe. And to be desensitized to everything that's happening around you when there's larger than life characters with some world-ending abilities, and everyone's just got to get up and go to work one day. It's just another day. It's just another job for most people. And then over there, someone's doing something crazy with their superpowers. The payoff that both characters had towards the end of the season, it felt earned. It felt natural. It felt like that's where they should have ended up. There's not anything that I would have necessarily changed on how they got there. They both reached the end of the series with flaws, with challenges that they overcame. They both have a great appreciation for the journey that they've been through, I can tell you that. So overall, I feel like that both characters have absolutely cemented themselves in Marvel Cinematic Universe history, just with this one series alone. Genuinely think this is probably my favorite Marvel show that I've ever watched, in terms of the fact that I just love every minute of this from start to finish, and it can stand alone by itself without even being a Marvel entity. And that is such an achievement in itself, because there's a lot of things that really rely on the fandom to carry the momentum forward. And a 9 overall is great, because the pacing can dip in little bits, and it can be a little confusing in certain stages, and it can fall into some of the familiar territories of there's only so many stories that can be told, and the gravity of certain situations may have been played out before, but this was played out in unique and you know, direct relationship to these characters. So I still feel like it's a genuine enough experience that I would separate it itself, like from the stories that have been told before. So that's everything from me. Please let me know what you thought of Wonder Man. Please let me know what other characters in the Marvel Universe that hasn't got the love you would like to see get the Wonder Man treatment, because I generally feel like there's some hidden gems out there that could be brought to light in exactly the same manner, that doesn't have a massive impact on the greater universe as it stands, but could still slot into it very easily. My name is Fletcher, and thank you very much for joining me. I'll be seeing you next time.